Welcome to Whining and Dining with Jim White, the program that introduces you to the people who make the eats and drinks you love. And, of course, we've got news you can use about whining and dining and lots of fun things with chefs and winemakers and a lot of very cool guests coming up. We're so pleased to be here at Vocal Media doing our show in their fabulous studios, and delighted to have a great friend. And if there is the consummate guest gourmet, it's got to be Dottie Griffith. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening,
Jim,
depending
and
on your
thanks
wherever
for the
you are.
Build up feels good.
Yeah, Dottie. So you're going to be with us. You're part of a group of good friends and colleagues whom I admire and respect. People who are involved professionally in the food and wine world, maybe the media aspect of it, as you were, but you're also a writer, an author.
Number 12 cookbook came out this year, so I'm excited about that and been busy trying to sell that book.
Okay, and we hope that we can get some guest gourmet tips if you've lined up any hot new restaurants or cool places, even if they're in East Dallas, our neighborhood. That'd be fun.
Sure, and there's so much happening in our neighborhood.
Well, let's get to that. We've got a very important guest with us today. Kent Rathbun, one of my favorite chefs, is here. Hey, buddy.
Hey, how are you, Jim? You know, I have a tip on a new cool restaurant. I can tell you that. Yeah, we're getting ready to open Imoto down in Victory Park in mid-June, and I'm telling you, it is going to be so much fun. You can't wait to get there.
All right. So we've got a whole bunch of time set aside for Kent Rathbun, one of America's top chefs, and we're just lucky and blessed to have him and his wife Tracy and their team here in Dallas. A lot of interesting news you can use from Kent, and I'm looking forward to that restaurant tip myself. So Dottie, the guest gourmet role, I know when we decided to put this show together, I said there's nobody better to come in and be, let's face it, my sidekick back, because we grew up on TV westerns and things like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
But we kind of wanted to, kick it up a notch for the culinary world. And as our guest gourmet, I know that you spent 20 plus years with the Dallas Morning News, both as food editor and then food critic. And then, as you mentioned at the top of the show, you've got 12 cookbooks out. And so you know your stuff. I like that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So here's the question. A lot of people probably want to know. You were a dining critic and probably had to eat out 7 days a week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for many years.
Sort of.
Do you do that now?
No. God, once there's no corporate credit card, I mean, that really cuts down on on the whining and dining.
Yeah. So is there a spot that you want to recommend to our whining and dining listeners a favorite of Dottie Griffith?
Well, there is a little sleeper place called Rue Bistro on Lemon Avenue.
Okay.
Which is underappreciated right now. Theo, who was the maitre d' at Beau Nash back in the day, had Theo's Seafood Restaurant on Walnut Hill. It's his joint. He's been open for about a year, but they do some really nice seafood. I mean, he sells you, I hate to tell you this, Kent, but a dozen oysters for $13.
Oh,
I mean, it's incredible, needs some love. So everybody check out Rue Bistro.
Okay, and it's on Lemon
Avenue. Yeah.
It's a long street. We're on.
Oh, well, okay. I think part of the problem is it's in the building that the previous occupant was named Tallywhackers.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But Rue Bistro is reputable.
So it's Upper Douglas,
yeah,
Fitzhugh, sort of in that area where it crosses Lemon.
They're in your Bob's.
Just so you kind of get your bearings. That's interesting. Well, let's switch it to Victory Park because, Kent, you've got this hot new restaurant tip. Tell us about Imoto.
Well, Imoto is kind of the second coming of Kent Rathbun, and it's the first restaurant that Tracy and I are partnering together on completely, sort of as the team. We are also partners with John Harkey from CRO Restaurant Company and John Kinzer from Republic. And I have to tell you, we have a number of really, really fantastic people behind this restaurant. And the team of people that we put together is the best team I've ever assembled to open a restaurant. So we're very excited, very excited.
That's amazing. So Imoto connotes Asian influences, and I know that you've traveled extensively and really have a love and appreciation for great Asian flavors. But this is a little different take on that. This is not Chinese or Thai or any of that.
Well, it is a Japanese sushi bar, and in fact, we have the chef. One of the sushi chefs from Nobu is coming over, and actually his assistant from Nobu is coming over to be our sushi chefs. And so it is going to be a very awesome traditional Japanese sushi bar. But the kitchen, who is going to be headed up by Jennifer Newbold, our chef, and Steve McHugh, one of our sous chefs. These people have been working with me and along my side for 10 years, and in Steve McHugh's case, he's been with me for 18 years. And so the kitchen is going to be very, very diverse in Asian food. So Indian food, Thai food, Chinese food, Vietnamese, Korean. If you think of Asian food in Asia or anywhere in Pan America, this is the kind of thing we're going to be doing. So we're not limited to Japanese food or Thai food. So it's going to be a lot of fun for us in the kitchen. Jim, when I was a kid, my parents had some foreign exchange students living with us at our home. And so Kevin and I got some really crazy food going on at the house when we were children. So, I can remember specifically one night coming in with a bunch of my buddies, and my dad is sitting at the kitchen table making spring rolls. And I'm like, what is he doing? So we've had a little bit of an affinity for Asian food for a long, long time. So this is really exciting for me as a chef. It's exciting for Tracy. It's kind of a continuance of what we've done with Shinsei, and we're just super excited.
I'm curious. Shinsei sort of was one of the early fusion, really Japanese kind of places in town. And so many have opened since then, and now you've got this great new concept. What makes this so popular in Dallas? Why are these flavors? Why is this style of food rocking Dallas right now?
I think it's similar to Latin food, Mexican food. I mean, I can be in Mexico for 2 weeks, but when I get back in Dallas, first thing I want to do is hit a Mexican restaurant. And so I think that these foods are things that we all love. It's hard to get tired of them. I mean, I think most people will tell you they love Asian food, they love Mexican food, and these are flavors and these are foods that have lots of vibrant flavors, lots of vibrant colors. They're spicy, they're sweet, they're aromatic, and there are just so many different types of foods that you can put into that sort of realm. And I just think people enjoy it. And I think also, there's a sense of healthy eating coming from Asian food. I mean, the joke, you eat a meal and you're hungry an hour later. I don't know that that's really true when you sit down and look at the calorie count of some of these things, but the point is that the perception is it's cleaner food, and I think that's helpful.
Well, in many cases it certainly does track, the gluten-free,
right,
high protein health trends that so many people that they try to eat that way pretty much day in and day out.
Absolutely. And the other thing too, especially Asian food, I think Asian food lends itself to quite a bit of shareable food, and I think that's the trend in dining, period. I think the days of these big long tasting menus in high-end restaurants are kind of fading away a little bit, and I think what you're seeing is people come and they want to enjoy a casual meal, but they want upscale food, and they want beautiful food, and they want quality. And so what they want to do is they want to have a bunch of things on the table, and they want to share. I think the days of having 2, 3, 4 courses in a row are kind of dwindling, and the shareable food thing is really taken over.
Everybody wants to taste everything, and
right.
It's so much easier to share than to pass plates around.
Absolutely.
I remember those days of passing plates so everybody could taste everything.
Well, in fact, in Imoto, we've really worked hard at working on the menu in a way that is shareable, and that's what we've done at Shinsei. We've seen the success there with that type of dining. And so we're going to continue that trend, and there's probably not going to be a whole lot of like what you would call an entree product at Imoto. It's going to be more shareable food where, if you have 2 or 3 or 4 people, you might need to order 2 of those instead of 1.
Kent, let me ask you this: such a diverse range of flavors and styles. You pretty much cover the whole spectrum in Asia, right, with these flavor profiles. Talk about how you're going to pay attention to your wine, your beer, your spirits program in order to complement all of these great flavors.
Absolutely. Well, we have in terms of the wine, we have a 1,400 bottle wine cellar.
Oh wow! And
so we're going to have quite the wine program, and it's interesting, Jim, because I've always been a big fan of California wines. I mean, I love all wines, but California is really a place I love to visit. I love to visit Sonoma, Napa, Central Coast, wherever. I just love that area, and Tracy and I both are big lovers of California wines. So these kinds of wines, especially California, lend itself to a lot of these types of food because of the West Coast. And so We've got a big wine program. Cynthia Molinex, who's going to be our general manager, and Kelly Newman, who has worked with us extensively on the wine and liquor program, are going to be kind of heading up that whole thing.
Wow, I love all these women
Yeah.
involved. This is great.
Gotta do it.
What?
Well, this is a breakthrough,
Yes,
you
sir.
know, in
Yes, ma'am.
restaurant print.
Well, I can tell you that I'm the fifth wheel here. Okay, I have a female chef. We have a female general manager, and we're probably going to get a sales manager that's female, and so I'm going to have to be careful here. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yes, so women, if you need apply to Kent, I think they're looking to fill some great positions.
well, and that's an interesting comment. I don't know if you know, but right now is the most crazy time in Dallas, Texas, probably around the country for that matter, to try to find help. We are growing at such a rate of speed in Dallas, it's very difficult to find restaurant professionals. So here's my ad. If you're looking for a job, we're looking for people.
Yeah.
Imoto in Victory Park.
Exactly.
That's right.
For people who have been to Victory Park, what is the location within the area? Where are you?
So first, let me tell you a little bit about Victory Park. If
Okay.
you know anything about Victory Park, you realize that over the last 10 years, Victory Park has been a bit of a miss in terms of the way that they wanted that whole thing to perform. Okay, so the American Airlines Center started out, and of course, we all go to games down there. We all go to concerts down there, and it's a wonderful place. And there are a number of restaurants and things that are still down there. But it really has never taken off the way that everybody had hoped. And recently they took over, a new company, a new development company took over, and they made all the streets two-way. Big deal.
Yeah.
They weren't always two-way.
Oh, I know you could
They've added-
drive around forever.
Yeah, they've added a ton of parking. There is probably 3,500 more residents down there within the walking distance of the W Hotel and our restaurant. And most importantly, there are a number of other restaurateurs coming. So Tristan Simon is coming with a restaurant called Billy Can Can. Macero's coming with a flagship Macero. And they're
Danielle Custer's got a place coming up, her group. Yeah.
You know what? It's going to be really awesome. There's going to be some great things with HD Supply. And most importantly, there's a lot of retail coming in, and there's a 10-screen Sinopolis Theater that's going to be right above Macero, right across the street from us. So it is going to draw a density of people like never before, and so we're really excited about it.
And that in addition to the fans that show up for the Stars and the Mavericks, which was the only crowd that was ever there in the past.
That's right. And, also with the invention of Uber and Lyft, people don't have to worry so much about parking. They can just pop into the area, get dropped off, and they're out. And, our hope is that people come, before the games, before the concerts, and then again after, because we intend to have quite a little scene in the lounge upstairs. We're going to do some DJ appearances up there and try to really transform the restaurant later at night into more of a lounge scene and just a really fun place to be.
That's
And
wonderful.
speaking of lounge, I had a little bit of a backtrack question.
Okay.
You were talking about your wine program. Does that include an ambitious sake program also?
Absolutely. Sakes, all the Japanese whiskeys. I mean, there's going to be quite extensive cocktail lists. In fact, the cocktail menu we've been working on for about 3 months now. And, not only are we going to really do some really cool craft cocktails, but we're really, believe it or not, we're really working on the ice.
Yeah.
We're doing a lot of very cool and creative ice cubes and different things that we're going to freeze as ice cubes, different garnishes within the ice. I mean, we're trying to do some really fun things. My wife uses the term Instagrammable drinks.
Beautiful.
So that's kind of what we're looking to do. So, and as always, we're starting out, and all restaurants start out and kind of ramp up as they go, and so we've got some big plans. It's gonna be
That
fun.
sounds cool.
Will the location support lunch and dinner, or are you just going to concentrate on the
Right now we're going to do dinner, but honestly, the more I've been down there during the process of building this restaurant, the more I realize that lunch is going to be an inevitable thing for us. I think that there's a traffic down there now already. Once all these other restaurants get in and all these other businesses get in, I think it's going to be silly for us not to be open for lunch.
Yeah.
So we'll see when that happens.
Let me ask you this. I was at your wedding. I was pleased to be there. Your wonderful family. What is this, 20 years now for you and Tracy?
Well, Tracy and I's 17th
Okay.
anniversary is coming up on June 3rd.
But here's the question. Did you know that you were going to have such a restaurant mogul cultivated in this relationship?
Of course not. I mean, when I met Tracy, she sold Porsches. I mean,
Yeah.
she was she was in the car business, and but real quickly we decided that what was great about our relationship and what she did and what I did, we have the same client. We were just peddling a different product. and honestly, when you have people that are buying these high-end automobiles, they are the people that were our clientele at Abacus, and they were the people that we intend to have as our clientele at Imoto, and that are our client at Shinsei and Lever Seafood Market. So we deal with a ton of people in Dallas, and many of which are some of the top tier folks, and so there's a certain level of expectation that they have, and we try to deliver.
Kent, let me switch topics. I know a lot of people are wondering. There was a tough period of time you went through. You couldn't even use your name, your picture, your likeness, and your restaurants, and you were separated
right
at the hip, the neck, the arms, whatever you want to say. Has this all been settled? Is this behind you now?
It is behind me, thankfully.
Yeah.
And, thanks for asking, because I think that, it was a very difficult 2 years, but the odd thing was it was a difficult 10 years. I mean, I was in a partnership that didn't quite fit where I wanted to be, and it was a struggle for me, and I think obviously my partner as well. And 2 years ago, almost to this day, I decided to resign from Abacus and Jaspers and leave all that behind and move on, and quickly found out that I was prohibited from even cooking as a chef while using my name or taking a photograph. And so, it turned into a pretty ugly legal battle, but I'm happy to say that it's all settled now, and I am Kent Rathbun and will be for the rest of my life.
Well, those restaurants continue, and even the restaurants that you're not associated with anymore have your name on them. How does that work?
They do. Well, part of the settlement was to allow them to continue to use my name on those restaurants. However, I am not involved, and I'm just happy to say that, Shinsei and Lever Seafood Market and, our new restaurant Imoto, and we're actually getting ready to open a new Shinsei at DFW in Terminal D.
Oh, great.
And then we're also catering under catering by Chef Kent Rathbun, and so we're kind of trying to rebuild the empire, so to speak.
Well, I mean, but the other group is still operating Kent Rathbun Catering, right?
They are.
So how do people know they've got you or your business when they phone or look you on social media?
Well, I think that's simple. Just follow Kent Rathbun. And,
okay.
I'm on Facebook, social media at Chef Kent Rathbun on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. But just know that if you want to see Tracy and I, you're going to need to come to Lever Seafood Market, Shinsei, or Imoto. And if you want to cater with me, you need to call me directly, and we're happy to do that.
There you go. That's great. What are some of the fun or notable big catering requests that you guys get? Do they want what style of food are they looking for? What can you accommodate?
Well, one of the things great about catering that I've always said, and I've always taught my chefs this too, is like, catering is not for everybody. And a lot of chefs are like, oh, I can't stand it, but I always remind them that if you can be successful as a caterer, you become a better chef, period. Because caterers have to have a sense of organization like none other. They have to have a sense of planning. They have to be way ahead of the game the whole time. And when you can be successful in that arena, running a restaurant is kind of a cakewalk.
Piece of cake.
Well, because everything's at your fingertips. If you've forgotten something, you just walk 20 feet to the walk-in and grab it. It's not like being at an event that's 100 miles away.
Yeah, packing up to take food off premises is an astonishing feat when you get right down to it and think about it. I know just packing for a picnic can be a challenge.
Yeah.
Can you imagine packing up to serve 100 people off premises?
And that's the point. I mean, when you can master that and you do well with that, you become a better chef, period, and you become a better operator. And so Some of the funnest things that we've done, and the other thing great about catering is obviously that we get to do different things all the time. So we do everything from very beautiful high-end dinners where it's 10 people or 100 or 1,000, and we do everything from backyard barbecues to big smoked meat contests. I mean, you tell me what you want to do, and we'll figure out how to do it. That's the way we cater.
That's great.
Do you ever use your catering as sort of a test run for dishes that might go on the menu at one of the restaurants?
Absolutely.
Or vice versa? Do you adapt dishes that are on the restaurant menus for catering?
Excuse me. Absolutely. And one of the great things about being a chef, especially when you're dealing with the client for their party, you can kind of guide them to a dish that you might want to try or you might think about using for the restaurant, or one that works well in a restaurant that you're very familiar with. So it kind of has a cross utilization thing. And the main thing is for all of us, including the client and us as a catering operation, to look great at that party. And what becomes sort of challenging sometimes, honestly, is sometimes the clients are not really familiar with catering. They're not familiar with what it takes to cater. And so they have in their mind that they want to do this or that. And sometimes we have to say, and I'm usually the one that says it, because no matter what my people in my organization say to a client, sometimes they want to hear it from me because I'm the chef. And you have to kind of lead them to the right decision, and you have to remind them, hey, look, at the end of the day, this is not only your reputation, but it's ours as well. And so we all have to look good here. And so sometimes we have to kind of lead people down a different path than what they might have in their head.
Kent, a lot of people may be wondering, because I'm assuming they are too, you and Tracy are so busy. You've mentioned the great restaurants. You've got a couple of wonderful kids. Is there ever any issue? I mean, how do you all balance that? Enough time with the kids and family?
I have two fantastic children. In fact, I was just saying to you earlier, I just came from our parent-teacher conference because school's getting ready to wrap up here. And so we are blessed with two fantastic kids. The question gets asked a lot, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
How do you separate home from family? And I can tell you that there is no separation. I mean, we roll everything into this is the Rathbun family life. And, our children have grown up going to fine restaurants, staying in fine hotels, being part of really beautiful parties, whether it's at our home or at a venue or somewhere else in the world. And I think that this is a gift to them, and I think that they will feel the same way. It was certainly a gift for my brother and I with our parents. My parents, we had the same thing. My father was, early on in his life, he was a musician. He used to play jazz sax. And, my dad used to roll around the country with people like Lawrence Welk and Buddy Rich and Count Basie and people who were famous jazz musicians. And by the time he met my mother, he was out of the band, stopped playing, and he was a building contractor. So my mother was in the restaurant business, so it was not uncommon for us to have 30, 40, 50 people at our home on Sunday, and half the people would be downstairs. And by the way, my dad and my mother rebuilt and sort of, did a whole remodeling job of our basement. And I can only describe it to you as a speakeasy. I mean, I'm not kidding. I was like the most popular kid in school because, we get to go to Kent's house to party. Sweet. I mean, we had full bar. We had a lounge with a fireplace and furniture. We had a dance floor. We had a wine cellar. We had a circular booth. I mean, it was a speakeasy.
That's amazing. It's just like your house now. No, although you have one of the coolest houses on the planet.
Well, thank you.
And very eco-friendly too.
We try to be.
Yeah.
We try to be. We got a little urban farm going over there.
And your own eggs that you gather fresh each day?
We have a hen house, and we have some bees, and we have a really cool organic garden. We collect our rain, and we try to do the right things. And this was kind of stuff that Tracy and I, when we built the house, we thought this would be fun for the kids, be fun for the family. I will tell you that Tracy and I are probably the ones that manage it all now.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like animals. Yeah.
But it's been fun for me. I have to tell you, the whole gardening thing, oh my gosh, it is so zen for me. I get out there and I am in such a great place.
And we had so much fun coming to your house, and you got some great fresh eggs out of the hen house. And in fact, we're going to see about how that perfect egg tortilla, the perfect breakfast tortilla, coming up from Kent.
All right, here we go. We're going to turn our pan on high. Okay, we're going to toss our tortilla in the pan, right? We got some spinach here that we're just going to julienne. This is called chiffonade, right? You know that technique, Jim, right?
Yeah.
So we're just going to chiffonade just like that, right? While the tortilla is heating. Okay. Truth be known, I usually just do egg, but you know, this is kind of fun. So we're going to do a little more chive, okay? Just like this. All right, now check it out. We have, let's see how our tortilla is going. Not even close. So, okay, so we got a second. Okay. It takes longer to cook the tortilla.
Then to do it.
Seriously.
Yeah,
okay.
we're at 49 seconds.
Okay, so now we're getting ready to go here. So the tortilla's hot, getting hot. So we're just going to kind of let that get. See this now I'm kind of watching this, how long it takes to heat the tortilla.
Well, we've been talking, and
that's true.
We probably should have a glass of wine while we're waiting for the tortilla.
We could do that, and trust me, at midnight I've done that before. Okay. All right. So now you're starting to see. Can you start to see it kind of little bubbles? It's going to start to kind of move along there. So we're going to pick a couple eggs here. Okay. How about a brown and a blue? All right. So now we're starting to get a little movement on the tortilla. See how it's starting to cook a little bit? All right. You notice I just turn them with my hands. You can turn them with the spatula if you want, no problem. Okay. We also have a little bit of cheese here. Okay. So got the cheese going. All right. And now we're going to just kind of go like that. Now what this will do is this will start to brown a little bit like good tortilla would.
Sure.
And once it starts to brown, you know that it's also starting to get a little crisp. Okay. So it's gonna now see how it's bubbling up here on that. That's looking good. You know, we're not going to turn it yet. I'm going to let that bubble.
That's fine.
Yeah. There we go. Now the other thing that's happening is the pan is going to be hot. Mm-hmm. So when we put the butter in, the egg is going to be ready to cook almost instantaneously. Okay. So we're going to take just a little pat of butter. I'm going to set it right here. Okay. See the bubbles here?
Some good bubbles.
See how it's looking there? I bet we got a little color. Yeah. See how we got a little color now? So we're going to kind of let that go just like that. And these are so good because they taste so fresh, okay? Now check it out. A little bit of butter.
Boom, sizzle,
okay.
sizzle.
We're going to turn this around here just like this. Get the kind of butter going on there.
So you don't even need to whisk your egg or anything?
You know what? I don't whisk it. I just kind of put all this stuff in there. Break the yolks. A little salt and pepper. Take my spatula.
Okay.
Now look at this. Right here, see how this is still pretty runny? Mm-hmm. I'm taking it off the fire.
Okay.
Okay, this is a mistake that people don't, this is what they do wrong. They keep cooking. But look at it.
Yeah, I was on there about 15 seconds on the heat.
Look at how nice this is now. Okay? All right, now we're going to put our cheese right here. Okay. Now check it out.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that. Now I'm going to tell you, that took about 10 times as long to cook the tortilla as it did the whole taco, right?
Yeah, so 3 minutes and 37 seconds, and that's with chatting and conversation.
All right, now we're going to melt that cheese a little bit. And if you want, you can put the cheese right in the eggs. I kind of tend to put it on the warm tortilla and kind of let it melt over the eggs. You ready to try this? I'll tell you what,
Sir.
This is looking pretty good, so I think I'm going to cut this in half.
Yeah, please do.
I'm going to join you. All right, there you go.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. And it's fresh and hot.
That's perfect.
That's the way to cook an egg.
That's the way to cook a tortilla, too.
Again, people overcook the eggs, right? And you said the Scoffier, that's the test, right?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of chefs, including myself, will have you cook an omelet for me or some eggs so I can see what you can do. I was cooking eggs when I was 14 years old at Sambo's, That's why I know how to do this.
No eggs.
Yeah, no
This
eggs.
is great. Try it at home.
Good stuff. Grow your own chickens.
So you can see how easy that was. And Kent, I had the timer on, of course, and it really took about 30 seconds, 2.5 minutes for the whole prep, but
Yeah, it was fast.
that's great.
Fast.
Thank you so much. Good luck to you and Tracy and all your great team with Imoto in Victory Park and all your other endeavors. You're just fabulous. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and I'm happy to be here on this big day for you. Congratulations! This is going to be a lot of fun for you, I know, because I mean, as you were talking about being able to cruise around and eat and just like do all these cool restaurants as your job, I think we're all pretty fortunate people. So thanks
Very
for being-
fortunate. And
Donnie
welcome back to the world is the real Kent Rathbun.
That's right. No more chef with no name.
Take that hood off, buddy.
That's
Yeah.
right.
All right, Donnie, and you're going to be with us for a few shows as
I
our
shall.
guest gourmet. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll look forward to all your great tips.
Pleasure.
All right. Hey, folks, remember, if anybody asks you what you're making for dinner, tell them reservation.